I think if I had to say, the biggest misconception that people have about veterans is that they know what one looks like. Do you have any idea how many veterans are in America right now? There's 13 million of us, which is almost as many as there are undocumented workers right now. That's what they estimate is the number of people who are LGBT in America is. That's a huge slice. And how can you tell me that you know what that entire group looks like? A few years ago, I was Senior Airman Mark Hammond's United States Air Force. Those days are gone. When you found out that I was joining the military, everyone was like, "Excuse me, sir?"
Yeah, I think we all were pretty surprised when you did it. It wasn't something that just went hand in hand with who you were.
You know who else was super surprised that I joined the military? Me. I was in the Air Force for 6 years. I signed that contract from the get-go. I went to college before, back in 2003. Ran out of money, didn't happen. I ended up working for a doctor, and he was actually an Air Force veteran. We got into some really heavy, smart conversations, and he says, "You know, you're too bright to be working for what I'm paying you. What are your plans?" And I said, "Well, you know, gotta make money to go to college." He actually said, "Have you ever thought about the military?" I wish I had a picture, because if you saw my hair back then, you know for a fact I had not. Everything you do in the military, you're gonna get a certificate for. Language school, to reflect that even for the refresher, was 160 hours. That's what they consider light language work. It was 160 hours of training. I loved that job that I had more than anything else that I'd ever done in my life. It was exciting. I got to see parts of the world no one got to see, and I got to have a day-to-day huge impact on the lives of people who really needed that kind of thing. When I came back and Rob noticed, like, "Hey, you're perfectly normal." So I was like, "Yeah, I am, and you know who else is?" Like 99% of everybody who comes back in. It was always my plan to go to college after the Air Force. Getting ready to drive to school for the first day, it was amazing how much it felt like 4th grade again. And you're just like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna be the weird kid because I'm the veteran." I've walked into classrooms and people have been like, "You're the veteran who's here?" The set of expectations is so awful, especially when they're like, "Oh my God, you have a veteran friend," and then they expect like the guy with super broad shoulders who's gung-ho, and they get me, this skinny, nerdy dude. I think it's absolutely critical that people understand that veterans aren't what they think. The idea that I can change their mind, whatever it happens to be, I can just open it up a little bit and go, "Oh, that guy's a veteran too?" That's exactly what I want, because then they get to see that the veterans aren't what they see only on the news or what they might have seen in a movie.
The fact that he's a veteran is not a central part of our relationship. I enjoy talking to him because he's really smart and he has more personal experiences of what things really mean.
We're in different parts of our lives. Like, he's been to war, and I went to Illinois once.
It's like we were talking about water conservation. I can say, well, I know a thing or two about it because there's little water in Afghanistan. You kind of have to be careful with it.
When you're trying to have a discussion in the classroom, the range of personal experiences really allows people to ultimately learn so much more than just reading it in a book or confirming whatever views they already had. Aaron was a huge part of that.
On this campus, Aaron is the first vet we've had in at least 5 or 6 years or more. I know firsthand that the experiences they go through in life and in the military are completely different than civilian life, and it's very welcome to see that experience being brought to this campus. Now, didn't you meet with the president like the first week you were here or something?
Yeah, and then like 4 other times.
I mean, I don't think the president knows who I am, but he knows who Aaron is.
When people say, well, the conversation about getting veterans back in the classroom, I say, no, veterans have always been in the classroom. This isn't a new conversation, it's just one we have to have over and over again. The first time I went to college, you'd have never caught me in a building like this. I wasn't that kind of student. Back then, it was going to college because I was done with high school, and that's what you did next. Now, I realize I've got one shot, right? I have the skills, the discipline, the lack of distractions, and I'm not going to squander it. That's why I'm always down here. I can see an admissions officer sitting in front of 2 packages. One says high school football captain, the other says United States Air Force Staff Sergeant. And my expectation is that this admissions officer has absolutely no idea how to compare these 2 things. I don't know what a staff sergeant did. I don't know what these schools are, why they're important, and now I can't make a choice. If I had to pick a group of people who were capable of dealing with stresses, who've been trained and believe and know how to push through, veterans and soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen are the #1 people I would pick. Because you know what? We did deal with those stresses. And we handled it. And we came back. And you might need some time to ease back into traffic. But we'll get there. Because we know how to fight, we know how to work, we know how to do it, and we will go the distance. You cannot stop us.